Brother Free. Two words is out about it. Something to believe. And, but I think, like you said,
Ready?
Ready?
Call our November 13th, 2018 meeting of the Macon County Board of Commissioners to order. I'd like to welcome all of you in attendance. And with that said, we'll get things started. Also, under announcements, I guess we need to congratulate 3 commissioners that got reelected. And Sheriff, is he here? See him out here? I just congratulate him too, as well as the rest of the individuals that were elected by our public at large. Anyway, any other further announcements? No, sir. Okay. Well, if we'll all rise, we'll observe a moment of silence, and I'll ask Commissioner Shields to lead the pledge of allegiance.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, I'm going to call our public hearing back to order. This is a continuation of the hearing from October 9th to consider a request to change the name of Paul Walden Road in Highlands to Bear Cub Trail. In our agenda packet, I believe we'd received a little bit more information. Angie, anything new on your standpoint? Same stuff? Okay. It looks like we have, unless anybody else has anything to say, I'll go ahead and ask Karen Reese to speak. I believe she's the only one that signed up. Welcome again, Karen.
Thank you. One thing that I failed to mention last time, gentlemen, is in talking with the vendors, the delivery vendors, they seem to have some confusion because of the name Bear. There's so many roads in Highlands with the name Bear in it. So I think that's something that you do need to take into consideration in making your decision, because it could just create more confusion. Once again, the 2 ladies that started this, which were Louise Royal and Diane Penner, they just thought Paul Walden didn't suit them. It wasn't cute enough for them. And they're not permanent residents, they're seasonal residents. And they don't receive their mail, at their address there, nor do they vote in Macon County. Paul Walden does have some historical value. I do know that Mrs. Penner said that she couldn't really find any history on Paul Walden himself, but it was in the 30s, when he gave his services to Highlands. So, that would be hard to trace. But there again, it is going to inconvenience me to have to change my address, and, as with the monetary expense of that. The majority of those that are for this change, again, don't have an address. They don't receive mail at these addresses. And also, they just think it's a cuter name. So I just really feel that those are important factors for you to consider in making your decision, that they're not from Macon County. The name has been there for as long as I can remember, and it does have historical value. Thank you so much for your time.
Karen, I just got a couple questions for you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I understand that there could be some monetary expense, passports, the time and effort for changing credit cards. I'm just thinking that your normal Town of Highlands bills, telephone, your normal bills that'll be coming to this address. How many of the homeowners on Paul Walden probably call this their
permanent?
Mhm.
Okay, you've got myself, you've got James Farish, Crystal Green, and the Alveras, 4.
Right. And Angie, I'm gonna look at you too. It looks like there's 11 it's 11, how many is there? There are 12. Looks like 9 want it changed.
I
And
don't-
3,
Yes, sir, that's
9
correct.
want it and 3 don't. So from a common
2
sense,
don't.
and
2
2
don't.
don't.
One never
One never
heard from
responded.
them.
So from,
Yes, sir.
if you look at it from an omniscient point of view, Karen, it kind of makes sense to me. It's like, well, if 9 wanted and 2 don't, people that live on this road, it kind of makes sense. Well, you got to go with the majority because they
Right,
won't
and
change
I
it.
know that's
But I also understand the historical aspect of it. And since I was a kid, I know where Paul Walden is, and probably if it is changed, I'll still know where Paul Walden is because that's
Right.
just what it's always been. But I also have to appreciate the expense that y'all are going to have to go through.
Yeah, you know, the expense is not so much important to me as it is, you know, the historical value. You know, the one homeowner that owns the Paul Walden house, they're big historians, and that's part of the reason that they bought that place, you know, is the history behind Mr. Walden. And just, you know, how many roads are in Highlands with the name Bear in it? So that's, you know, and I mean, ethically, is it right because it's just not cute enough for them? You know, to come in, I mean, they do live there, but they live there in the summer only.
Right.
Well, Crystal was in.
Do what, Angie?
Crystal.
Well, yeah, the 4, and that's, you know, that's Habitat Row, basically. There are 4 of those homes. The 4 that receive their mail there are Habitat homeowners. So, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, thoughts?
What is a habitat homeowner mean?
Habitat for Humanity.
Okay, wait. Okay.
I think it's important that each of these commissioners have had a chance to read any written comments that have been submitted for consideration. And if you haven't, probably ought to take a moment to do that now. And those comments that have been submitted probably ought to be attached to the minutes of this public hearing.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board in regards to this?
Oh, that's something?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Angie, have you received any information that we don't have?
Only one other email from Mr. Triplett that was in favor of the name change.
That's one of the 11. You still ain't heard from the one.
9. It's 9 that one.
9, but you still,
Still have not heard from one. I also attached a copy of the letter that I sent out to all the property owners last month.
Mr. Chairman, when you have a name change, what does that do within our emergency management system?
I change all the information on the maps and in the computers. It's whenever they dial 911 the correct information.
That's a time factor, real quick, or is it
Very
something?
quick.
Angie, just out of curiosity, do y'all consider every name change that's brought to you, or is there a set of guidelines that y'all follow in 911 before you consider
We
one?
have to consider everyone that's brought to us.
Okay.
Because that's the guidelines that the commissioners set forth for us.
Okay.
That process. They have to go through the process and they have to pay $200 for the, change all the information and the signs out.
Board, any further questions? questions? Any further comment from the public? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing for consideration. Board, how do you, any comments, thoughts, motions?
Mr. Chairman, I have prepared a proposed amendment that would accomplish the change of that name, if that is the pleasure of the board. And that has been passed out, copied to each member of the board. Again, if that is the pleasure of the board.
Anyone? Carl? Paul? Any comments?
I'm gonna defer to you. That's your neck of the woods.
Anybody else?
Well, I'm sort of, you know, I could never see a good reason to change the name myself. No reason given, even though there are in the majority. I never really heard a good reason to change the name from Paul Walden, no matter what the historical perspective was. It's been that ever since I can remember too. I just don't see no real evidence to here, even though it is a majority, Mr. Chairman, to change the name of the road. I just don't see the evidence of the necessity for the change. In my opinion.
Okay. Anyone else?
And reading the guidelines for road name changes, I mean, it appears that the request has met the criteria contained in that document. But I tend to try to look at it from a practical standpoint. You know, what practical anything is changing the name, and I struggle with that.
It's different. I think since I've been a board member, I don't remember another road name. Most of them it's 100%.
I'm sorry.
It seems like most of the other cases we've heard in the past is 100% for.
Yeah.
And I know, again, so it's the first one we've had that I remember where we've had a difference of opinion.
Well, the only other difference, I can remember one, but it was recently changed when the new addressing come in. It was changed from one to the other, but it had only been changed for a couple of years. I think Angie probably remembers that. And some of them wanted to change it to another, and that was a easy one. This has a legacy. This road name has a legacy. So, regardless who Paul Walden was or was not, I don't, in my mind, don't play a big part. It's been that way for decades. My opinion.
All right.
So with that, I'll make a motion, we leave the road named as is, the Paul Walden Road.
Okay. We got a motion to leave the road name as is. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Very good. Road name stays the same.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
You have another person that needs to be on that list when you get through.
Okay.
Resolution lady.
Okay.
Tamara.
Y'all are ready, unless y'all have something else, you're welcome to.
Thank you. Thank you. I just have a question. That
Yes,
lady
ma'am.
that handed you that piece of paper in the last meeting, did that have any correlation or anything to do with do you remember?
It's in our file, and I don't remember it specifically.
I didn't
I've
think
written, is that the one that's in here now, Mike? Do you know?
I recall the small note. I
Thank
actually
you,
don't
there's a
recall
copy of it in here.
There's probably a copy in here, but
I don't
no,
know.
it, there wasn't anything other than change, the one
Thank-
road name change.
Thank
yeah.
you. I thought it
Sure.
was rather odd.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, moving on, we're moving on to public comment period. First, first up is Lynn with Veterans Council of Western North Carolina. Welcome home meal for the 210th, the Army National Guard. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Hi, thank you. Thank y'all for having me. My name is Lynn Lazar. I'm the chair of the Veterans Council of Western North Carolina, and we support our veterans and soldiers in the western part of the state. We are headquartered in Jackson County, but we're the Veterans Council of Western North Carolina, so that we're not nailed to just Jackson County. 210th Army National Guard, the MP company, was deployed to Cuba for nearly a year. They returned home on October 6th, and the Veterans Council would like to do a welcome home meal for those soldiers and their families. Now, this morning I was able to speak with someone in the National Guard. We were originally assuming about 300 people. About half of that unit, there's about 150 or so soldiers in the unit, and about half of them are in the western part of North Carolina, and the other half, or the rest of North Carolina, kind of spread out through the rest of the state. So we were assuming about 300 people, because all of the soldiers will be here for drill on February 9th and 10th, and that was when we were planning to do our meal. But I was told this morning that the Guard is doing a welcome home for the family members as well, and so the family members, a lot of them will be at the welcome home during drill on February 9th and 10th. So we are now assuming about 600 people. And our goal is to cater a meal for the soldiers and their family members as a thank you for their service. They spent about a year deployed, and their family members spent about a year without those soldiers. And so we would like to say thank you. So I'm coming before you today asking for support, financial support for this meal. I spoke to the county commissioners from Jackson County today, and they have agreed to support us at $2,500 to help with this meal. I also have a commitment from Clay County, and I have calls in to other counties and to the Eastern Band. It's going to take a little bit of time, but my plan is to speak with everyone from Haywood West and probably Buncombe County as well, and raise the funds so that we can do a very nice catered meal for these soldiers and their family members.
You gonna do it where?
We're going to do it at Southwestern Community College at the Burrell Building. I am waiting on confirmation for that building, but I put in a request for that. It's a Saturday dinner, so it would be, say, 5 o'clock. We will have volunteers from Rotary, local church groups, and other community members come to help serve. I would love to have y'all join us. I'll hand you an apron and a serving spoon and let you help us thank our soldiers if you have any interest at all. We did a pre-deployment meal for these same soldiers and their families, and it was a smashing success. And I won't have any trouble getting volunteers to come and help serve. But the Veterans Council is donations only, and we can't fund a meal at about $10,000, which is what I'm assuming this will cost, pretty close.
10,000.
Yes, sir. My budget this morning was $5,000, and after I spoke with the Guard, it suddenly doubled to $10,000. So because we doubled the number of people that we're expecting, we will have a sign-up sheet so that we know a definite number. And our caterer is John Falk, who is a Vietnam veteran who works with us very well, and he will help us keep that as low as possible. But I'm assuming the $10,000 mark. So.
Also, Mr. Chairman, we have Pat McConnell from American Legion and the VFW. You got Rick Norton here from the Vietnam Veterans of America. They're here to hear her presentation so they can take it back to their group also, and requesting some funds.
Questions from anyone?
Questions? What's the date again?
February 9th. That's a Saturday, and I will be happy to provide confirmed details once we have everything nailed down.
So we'll just give you a commitment that we'll have funded.
Yes, sir.
Then-
And then I will give you an official letter of request and explanation from the Veterans Council. We are not a 501c3. We do have a bank account and a tax ID number and that information. So I can give you that information to transfer the funds. It'll go into our Veterans Council account, and we'll use that to pay. It is a nonprofit, yes, sir. Everything that we collect goes back out to the veterans. While the 210th was deployed, we collected care package items, and my goal was that we would send about 4 boxes while they were there. Through the generosity of the community, we sent 18 boxes, 70-pound boxes. We actually had somebody who took the box to the post office open, put it on the scale, and added until she got it to the 70-pound mark, because that was the limit, and then sealed it and sent them off. And we had to collect funds to help ship those because we didn't have the funds for that. And the community, once again, was very generous with that. So we've supported this unit. While they were deployed, we had 120 people writing letters to them while they were deployed. Now we'd like to say thank you so much and welcome home.
And there are Maconians that are deployed
Yes, sir.
inside this unit.
Yes, sir, there are.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
don't have definite numbers, but yes, there
I'd
are.
like to make a motion, we match what Jackson County, put in theirs, I believe it's $2,500.
Yes, sir.
Take that out of our contingency fund.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
All
Good
right,
luck.
thank you very much. I will
You
let
see
y'all
those 2
know.
hoodlums back there?
Yes, sir, and I will let you know when we get it definite, and I'd love to have y'all come out and help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff. Brett, so I like your subject matter here. How to make heroes out of county commissioners for free.
There's nothing free.
Get an S on my chest.
Well, my name is Jeff Pritz. I've lived in this wonderful community for about 25 years. Most of my work is up in Highlands, so I travel that road on a daily basis.
Well, just meet Jeff, please. Settle down here.
Jeff, spell your name, P-R-I-T-Z?
P-R-I-T-Z. P with a Ritz cracker behind it.
Yeah.
Good cookie.
Jeff, what are you doing in Highlands?
I'm a handyman.
Okay. I think you're ready. Sorry
Anyway,
about
I
that.
travel that road on a daily basis, and there's one problem that is prevalent on a daily basis, and that's the speed limit is 35, yet there's so many people that are traveling at 25, 20, 15, creating a massive backup, and it can be anywhere from 10 to 30 cars. You've got cars that are, one bumper car length off, so it's dangerous. So, what I'm trying to do is do something to alleviate this problem, and if something is done, just think of all the citizens plus all the tourists that will be so thankful to you guys. And I'm hopefully trying to come up with a way to do it for free. Now, I don't know if how many people here remember the Burma Shave signs along the side of the road. Do anybody back there remember the Burma Shaves? Anyway, for those that don't, and as a child, myself, my parents, you'd drive along, you'd see the signs, and it would be something, there'd be a sign, and it might say something like, Whiskers Tough, and then 100 feet later, there'd be another sign that says, Mom's upset. 100 feet later, do something about it. And then it'd be Burma Shave, and Burma Shave was elaborate. Something like that always got your interest. You always were looking forward to the next set like that. So I was trying to come up with an idea to take care of this. So the first one with a group of these signs, and it'd be, going up and coming back down. First one would be go in slow, and written at the way that it would attract people's attention, knowing it's misspelled and things like that. 100 feet later, you'd see cars behind. another 100 feet. Pull over so. They can get by. And now if it was Burma shave, the next sign would be Burma shave. But to get this done for free, the last sign would be some business that wanted to pay for these signs and have them put up. Going up to Highlands, you'd want a business up in Highlands that would do it, so people would get up there and you finally see, oh, it's Subway. This is the place that did the signs. And coming back down, it would be businesses down here. And I'm figuring like 2 sets going up, 2 sets going down. So this is my proposal. And if you don't like the idea, at least a couple of signs that said, pull over, let cars by. You know, something big that people, and it would sure, I think, a lot of the aggravation and road rage that comes about with having to, you know, these people are, a lot of people are very afraid to drive up that road, but they just don't have the realization all these pull-offs are there for you to move over for 3 seconds, let the 4 or 5 cars go by, and then pull back out again. And in case you do accept it, let me put these here, in case I don't want you to misspell it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you. I, as well as you travel that road virtually daily, so I'm very familiar. Have you been between Cullowhee and Cashers?
On rare occasions.
Okay, well, they have big signs that say slow car pull off ahead, and then they have a little area for people to pull off. And I have personally been wanting and wishing for those between Highlands and Franklin, and Highlands and Dillard, and Highlands and Cashers on all of our roads up there for a long time. And I really don't think that's our decision. We can make some recommendations to the state that might happen, and then a lot of that area is on Forest Service property, so I don't know if that comes in the right of way or if that's a Forest
Well,
Service
the
decision or not.
DOT
highway
can,
too.
Be good.
well, they can override for safety purposes, but you have to, we can certainly bring that up at the next RPO.
All right, so you win, we'll bring that up at the next
I
meeting,
realize
so.
you gentlemen had a lot more pull than I did.
Right, thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
All right, Tamara, I think we have you.
Good evening. I want to thank Commissioner Gary Shields for inviting me to speak today regarding a proposed resolution on the value of religious freedom. Sadly, hardly a week goes by when our flags are not flying at half-staff. There have been 307 mass shootings. This epidemic is so alarming that none other than Time magazine has published a special report this week devoted to the issue of hate after the Tree of Life mass shooting. The FBI reported that hate crimes also this week are up for a 3rd year in a row. The vast majority of the crimes that were reported impacted Black Americans and Jewish Americans. Some have described the mass shooting at Tree of Life as a U.S. Kristallnacht. The victims are the first martyrs ever on American soil in United States history. This is a shameful marker of just how far down the road of hate we've gone as a nation. On October 27, 2018, a man entered the Tree of Life congregation during worship services shouting, "I want to kill Jews." Before he was subdued by police, he killed 11 Jews, injured 2 other Jews, and 6 police officers. This is why I'm asking you today to make it clear there's no place for anti-Semitism in Macon County. This is not an interfaith issue. In this country, Christians are not targeted for their faith or heritage, so we're not all the same in this regard. This is an issue of hate for Jews because of our faith, because of our culture, and because of our history. Macon County is a community of people who are warm and friendly, but sadly, one with a dark past. I've been told, as I was talking to people about this presentation, that the KKK had a presence in Otto at one point, and also just across the border in Georgia. This is why I'm asking you to stand up and make it known that Macon County is a place where religious Jews can live side by side with other faiths, knowing we have your support. As our highest elected local body, the position you take matters. Speaking up or deciding to remain silent sends a message to the people. By voting in favor of the proposed resolution, you will make a public statement that hate is not welcome here in Macon County. Franklin is home to a conservative Jewish congregation, one that is known by word of mouth only. Markers along the highways point to local churches, but you won't find one marking Mountain Synagogue. Why? People are afraid to put one up, even in today's climate, in today's society. This is intolerable. Although I'm an Orthodox Jew, I briefly attended Sabbath Solidarity Gathering at Mountain Synagogue on November 2nd, a week after the mass shooting in Pennsylvania. It is a sign of the times that a Franklin police officer was present to protect the congregation. We depend on the support of local police and government officials to recognize openly our freedom to worship and our need for protection in times of rising hatred. But this isn't enough. Your public denouncement of anti-Semitic hate is required. No matter what you decide, whether to accept or oppose the resolution, all of us appreciate and value the support you give to our small Jewish community in Franklin. The decision to remain silent or to raise your voices in condemnation is one only you can make as a commission, and one that will now be recorded for posterity. I thank you so much for your consideration, and I have a copy of the resolution. I don't know if you want me to read it. I can just leave it with you.
We have a copy.
Here's another modified version. I'll leave this. This is the recent draft. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's the same, I believe it's the same. Just a quick look at it. She said modified version, but
Yeah.
I believe it's the same.
Any questions, comments?
You've made a comment about hate increasing. I don't think we're a country of hate. I certainly don't think we're a county of hate. I think we got a few freaks out there that are doing some horrendous, unspeakable acts. I don't think that's reflective in no way of the majority of the American populace. So whatever we need to do, I would like to think that we can all assume that we condone hate or hateful actions, but if we have to do it in form of documentation or documents, that's another thing. But I still choose to think this is a great country. There's just some crazy people in it.
I would agree with you, but I do also think that messages sent by politicians also have an influence on
Depends on which
On the-
politicians it is.
on the climate, and just stating openly, because it's such a shocking rise in the number of these incidents. Even the FBI, this recent report just came out this week, has said that for the past 3 years now, these things are increasing. So, I mean, we just look to you so much to state openly what the values are. And so this is why I just basically, I gave you my copy. I said,
got one.
it's just simply saying that you're going to strengthen, that as a community we strengthen our fidelity to these values, to the indispensable and enduring values of religious freedom for all faiths, by asserting that Macon County is a place where those of the Jewish faith may worship, pray, and study in peace and security. So it's just, we're strengthening our commitment to these things that we all take for granted, but obviously something is amiss. So I agree with you very much, and I don't want to make this into a gun issue, because I don't think it's about guns. I think it's about attitudes and just reminding ourselves of who we are and what we believe in and what we continue to hold to.
What about our counselor? Do you have any input on this?
Yes, sir. This is the first I've seen this,
Okay.
and while I certainly see no problem with communicating by way of resolution that Macon County strengthens its fidelity to the indispensable and enduring value of religious freedom for all faiths. One thing I am concerned about is singling out one particular faith for protection. I think it may need to go to all, and I'd like the opportunity to look into that a little more closely before this board votes on a resolution. Be happy to do that if the board's inclined to direct me to do so.
And I think that's a very good point to raise, and I thought a lot about that because that did come up. You know, there's obviously a lot of anti-Muslim sentiment as well, but the reason that this resolution specifically addresses just one incident that happened and seems to be, what I found most shocking is that it was being described as a Kristallnacht, which if you're familiar with that, I mean, that was the beginning of the pogroms in Germany. So that, when I heard that, it just stunned me. And then also the fact that, you know, the victims were declared Jewish martyrs. Now, in the Jewish faith, that is something that rarely ever happens. I think in the Catholic faith you might have saints or having martyrs as well. So it's something that's not declared, you know, routinely or offhandedly. So that, speaking directly to that, I think is something that's important, but also recognizing that all faiths. So it was just targeted basically to that particular incident, and it's very specific to that incident. But I agree, all faiths need to be
My
recognized.
concern is that the governmental body, when it speaks, really can't single out or encourage more protection of one faith over another faith. It's technically not a law, so the question becomes, is it really a First Amendment issue in the first place? I think there is potential argument that you do have a First Amendment issue there, and I would recommend
Was that not a Baptist church that was attacked in South Carolina?
Yeah, I think you.
That's a good example.
You know, really, if you're gonna, I mean, technically, we already have a constitution that guarantees that our county basically follows this, but I don't think it hurts at all to have a resolution that reminds us of what our constitution requires of this
You
county.
just take a few word changes, like, you know, whereas there are thousands of churches or synagogues across the
I
nation.
think I could polish it up and.
You know,
in
whereas
a way-
churches or synagogues is a place to worship and study. I mean, where those of all faith may worship, pray, and study without fear of violence or discrimination.
I think we can do something.
Yeah.
along
So
that
we're
line
taking
if
it-
the
taking
board's
under
inclined
advisement for now.
For me to rework it a little bit. We'll be back on December 3rd, is that right? And
Our
then
next
again
meeting,
on
yeah.
December 11th. Which day would you want that ready for?
It'll be our normal December meeting, the 11th. Thank you, Ms. Lynette.
Well, thank you so much for your
Did
consideration.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, while you're here, did I see that did you just run for office, or you're getting ready to run for office? Did
Well, I
read something
withdrew,
about
and
that?
I withdrew and endorsed the losing candidate, Mark Meadows. Not Mark Meadows, Price.
Okay,
Yeah.
Did you get her name on
yeah.
there?
I did, I got it.
Yeah,
Is
so
there any-
congratulations to all
Oh,
of you. I
thank
know I
you.
only had a short time, and I wrote the whole speech to congratulate
Thank you,
those of you that were reelected.
Thank you.
appreciate it, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to us in public comment?
Jeff, did you have a comment?
But it was just covered, what was going on, so it has already been covered, taken care of.
Anyone else? Not, we'll close the public comment period, we'll move on to additions and changes to the agenda. Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. If I'm not mistaken, we're going to be removing item number 11B.
B as in boy?
B, 11B as in boy, under new business. We'll also be removing the or excuse me, 11C2, I'm sorry.
11C2 is being removed?
Sorry, Tommy. Yes, 11C2, we will leave 11B on.
Okay.
We'll also be removing item number 11D,
D as in David?
D as in David. And we will be removing item number 11G. as in George. That's all I have.
Okay. Lori?
There was a budget amendment to add. You all had a copy at your seat, budget amendment number 87, which I believe kind of ties into 11B.
Yes.
The new tenant.
That's what I had 11B on my mind.
Okay, so do we need to? So
You could
we
just
need
add it in if you
11B1.
wanted to.
11B1,
Yeah.
11B1.
budget amendment number 87.
Twelve B or 11B?
11.
11B.
11B.
That's that lease.
Anything else, Lori, Chester?
Sorry.
Any changes?
Yes,
Revisions.
spoke with Richard Leitner this afternoon, and 11D can be removed.
Okay. Anything else, commissioners?
Just one quick announcement, if those that's in town tomorrow around lunchtime, be celebrating Mr. J.C. Jacobs' 100th birthday.
Oh, wow.
He'll be at the noon Rotary, and there'll be several of us speaking there to honor Mr. Jacobs for his contributions in a lot of ways to the county, so I'm sure you'd be welcome.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Mr. Jacobs. That's
Get
awesome.
a good meal.
Anyone else, Carl? Paul? Anything else good? We get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion approved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, reports and presentations. I'm not sure anything, any items? Old business, update on space needs analysis, Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'll recall, last meeting, we presented you with what was the first draft of the contract between between Macon County and Mosley Architects, who is going to be performing our space needs analysis, who we selected from the RFQ process. We, as you'll recall, had some concerns with that AIA document. We would like to have gotten it in standard form. You have before you tonight the standard form contract that has been reviewed by our county attorney from Mosley Architect. Now, what we will be doing is sending it to them. They have not reviewed the changes to their contract that have been made by our attorney. This contract is simpler, it's cleaner. The majority of the changes made by Chester, and he can certainly speak to that, was just, some things were simple, such as adding our pre-audit certificate, adding the e-verification language. We also wanted to accomplish some things, such as nailing down a time frame. Instead of having a 90 or 180 to 240 day time frame that this will be completed in, we wanted to nail that down to a time like 210 days. So with that being said, we have made these changes. This contract, again, has been reviewed by Chester. It does accomplish what we want it to accomplish and what we have discussed the space needs analysis would accomplish here for Macon County. And with that being said, I would just like, if it be the pleasure of the board, to continue negotiations with Mosley. There has been no price change. The price change or the amount of this contract remains at $167,570, which is the same amount that was in the AIA contract. So other than getting it in standard form, which was a little bit clearer to understand and we feel like pertains only to that business that we'll be accomplishing with the space needs analysis, and making some changes by our county attorney, that will be the only changes made. So nothing else from the scope of what we're doing has changed, just the form of the contract and some changes by our county attorney that nail down a few things and also put the things in it that we're required to put in it, like the e-verification language, the pre-audit certificate, and the like. So with that being said, if it be the pleasure of the board, I would like to be authorized to enter into a contract with Mosley Architecture upon their review and acceptance of the changes made by our county attorney.
I may amplify the county manager's comments. What you have before you is the proposal by Mosley Architects. I have gone through that, and I have made a list of some proposal for changes, some of which we have to have, some of which I would recommend that we get if we can. And so, what I would encourage the board to do, if it's inclined to move forward with Mosley, is to authorize your county manager to execute the contract that you've been provided with, subject to the county attorney being able to negotiate those changes that he recommends, that some of which are required, some of which are not required, and being satisfied with the results of those negotiations.
Can we get a motion of the same? Are there any questions?
How long will that take you, Chester, till you get that done?
We're done on our end.
We're
You're done.
essentially done. We've got everything we needed. We just need to give it to Mosley and let them look
Look
at
it
it
over.
and tell us what they can and can't do.
Commissioner Gillespie, sir.
I think this is the first step in creating a roadmap for the county moving forward, help this board and future boards. So, with that in mind, I'd make a motion, that we move forward as outlined by
Suggested.
county attorney.
We got a motion, we get a second?
Second.
We got a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, guys.
Might
Chester.
take just a moment to express my thanks to County Manager and Lori Hall. They took the lead on getting that contract pared down to what you have.
Good job.
From the AIA contract, did a really good job with that.
That's a significant paring down.
Yes.
But,
I can actually read this.
Yes.
good job.
All right, moving on to new business, item 11A, memorandum of understanding for Macon Soil and Water Conservation District. District Director, Mr. Mike Breedlove. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Proud to have you here.
First off, thank y'all from me and my board for the support you show the Soil and Water Conservation District. Memorandum of understanding, this thing comes up every year. It's between basically it's between our office, which is county and state, and the feds. And about all it says is we all need to know each other's job, because folks come in off the street, they don't know if it's fed or state, or so we've got to know, kind of have a good idea of all the programs and that are available there, and be able to talk to folks. And that's, Chester helped me out.
Well, I was asked to look at it, and when I looked at it, it appeared to me that the principal reason Macon County needs to be involved in that MOU is to basically provide the administrative support to our Macon County Soil and Water Conservation District, which we're currently doing in any event. And I think the point of it is to send the message to the local Soil and Water Conservation District, the state office, and the federal office, that we are committed to doing that, and we think that soil and water conservation is a good thing for Macon County, and we're supportive of their mission.
Thank you.
It memorializes what we're already doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Am I done?
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Free to
Mike.
go.
Thank you. Good job.
Tell you what,
Thank you, Mike. Hope your cousin continues to improve. Mike.
Did you second that?
no,
Carl, you second?
Paul, seconded by Carl. All right, item 11B, resolution and lease agreement with TE Teco SSL Incorporated. Teco, Mr. Tommy Jenkins.
Teco.
Oh,
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners. I'm here again for another lease for our Business Development Center. Currently, we have an available space in Unit B, which is about 3,700 square feet. We have a company from Kentucky, Daryl Thornberry, excuse me, is the owner, and the name of the company is TICO SSL, which stands for Solid State Lighting. Basically what TICO does is they design and manufacture LED paint inspection lighting systems for OEM automobile manufacturers such as Tesla, Toyota, Ford, and General Motors. They're a small company, but they are a startup, and they primarily retrofit existing fluorescent inspection lighting systems in existing automotive manufacturing plants by installing new LED inspection systems in these facilities. This company was started in 2008. It's small, but it's had some success in the last couple of years. The reason Mr. Thornberry is interested in locating here is because he owns a home here, and he likes this area and would like to grow his business here. Basically, last year, they've seen a steady growth in their income. They're also looking at new projects this year with Toyota and Tesla, and they're on target for their projected income for 2018, and they're projecting a substantial increase in income in 2019. Basically, they'd be starting out with 3 employees. They'd hope to, by year 3, as you know, the way our Business Development Center program goes, we go 1-year increments. By year 3, they'd like to have a minimum of 10 employees and 15 part-time employees. The space they're renting is, excuse me, around 3,700 square feet. In Chester, I did not bring the lease with me. I think that lease amount's $918.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
It's $3 on an annualized lease per foot, which is usually in the past what we've been our top rate, but since the economy's improved, we've increased that.
$918.
Okay, so it'd be $918.
It's a 1 year, or how many years?
Right, we run the
months.
program in 12-month increments,
Be
but the program's for
reevaluated.
3 years. We reevaluate in 3 years.
Tommy, Mr. Thornberry is from Kentucky, but the
The corporation is.
It's actually a Tennessee
It's a Tennessee corporation.
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second to
Before
accept.
you do, let me point out that what was in your agenda package did not contain the drawings, the Exhibit A. You have that before you, a copy of that. Whatever is adopted in the way of the resolution would need to have that document attached to the lease.
If I could to add to that also, if it wouldn't be too much trouble to add into the motion, they are going to have to equip this unit with a garage bay door to get vehicles in and out of. So that expense was going to be $7,000, and budget amendment number 87 is basically taking the $7,000 from the Economic Development Reserve Fund and providing that $7,000 so we can make that upfit to the unit.
And that, those costs were from Steve Ledford, maintenance supervisor. Could be less than that.
And these first 3 employees, naturally, he's had to bring them with him.
Yeah, yes. Well, he'll hire actually his office manager from here. So.
All right, those changes good with the motion and the second. Any further questions?
Do we have to do these under facility requirements?
No, that's just when he made his original presentation. He'll be handling the interior offices, interior work. He also
The
realizes.
high-based LEDs?
Yeah, that's what he does, so.
So that's his deal,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not us.
that's not us. The lease just covers, we just lease him the space, basically. And if we pass the budget amendment, we will put the door in, so.
It looks like a company, Tommy, that's primed for growth. I mean, it's,
Every little bit ahead.
is that what you got, the impression you got?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Those lease funds go into the general fund or into the,
General fund.
general fund?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That includes the amendment.
Well, no, let's go ahead and get another motion on the budget amendment, number 87, please. Got a motion from Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Higgin. All in favor?
Aye.
Now it does.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Item 11C,
Thank you,
Macon
Tom.
County Transit. Ms. Kim Angel, updated system safety plan. Welcome. Nice not seeing you on the TV.
Well, you know, I looked for somewhere to go, but nobody'd have me, so had to show up here. So, I believe that in your package you got the synopsis that, Mr. Rowland had asked me to provide. Otherwise, I would have been sending you this, which is also double-sided. Basically, the system safety plan is, it is a requirement, as part of our federal and state funding. There are some new, actually just got back from Statesville last week, there are some new safety requirements that, Federal Transit Administration has put into place. We have 2 years to get all of those implemented. This change comes as a result of an, review that we had earlier this year. In that review, there were, 58 areas that were looked at. There were 2 deficiencies found. I listed those in your synopsis, obviously one of them being the fact that we had not been here since 2015. This will be an annual event for us, so we'll look forward to this every November. And also to identify an accountable executive and a safety coordinator for the organization. The accountable executive has to be a member of the upper management of the organization who oversees the whole safety program. The safety coordinator needs to be somebody who works with the training, ensuring that the facility is safe, the vehicles are safe, the employees are safe, passengers are safe. And I'm not sure, I don't think the copy of the org chart came through very well. But if you could see it, it would look like this. It's very pretty. And it shows myself as the accountable executive and the transit operations supervisor as the transit safety officer or transit safety coordinator. Those duties were added as an extra line in the job description. Those have been sent to Mr. Decker. I don't think there was a problem with changing those. And they've been incorporated into the handy dandy safety plan. Also incorporated into the safety plan is the continuity of operations plan that I brought in August. So,
We get a motion to approve the updated system safety plan.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Get a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
You want us to do this for the next 4 years too?
yeah, well, you know, we'll do this next year. I'll bring you another copy. Unless
Alright.
somebody wants this copy tonight. You know,
Mike
insomnia
is going to need
Thank
a
you,
copy.
Kim.
problems. So, yeah. Impede on your time, Jack.
Alright, item 11E, release of land disturbing surety bond for Indigo Homestead Apartment Complex. Planning, Permitting, and Development Director, Mr. Jack Morgan. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I do hope you have a copy of the certification by me.
They do. And attached to it is a copy of the actual land disturbance surety bond that's to be released.
Yes, they are done. And they'll have to re-up it if we don't release it by December the 6th.
You're saying do it, right?
Pardon?
You're saying do it?
Do it.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
I guess we need to authorize Jack or Derek One to actually do the release and cancellation of the bond.
That's part of your motion, right, Mr. Higgins?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Mike, you up to speed with us?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm distracted.
Either Jack or county manager is authorized to do the release.
Next one is deleted.
11F, NCACC 2019 Legislative Goals Conference Voting Delegate Designation.
Make a motion, Mr. Bill, assume that responsibility again, I guess.
Got a motion on the floor. Need a second? Second. Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If he will.
I'll be right there.
All right, let's,
Can't go backwards.
Eating crab legs. Lots of them.
all right. Can we get a, motion to approve the consent agenda unless there's something that someone would like removed?
Motion to approve, Mr.
Got a
Chairman.
motion to approve by Commissioner Higdon. Get a second?
What was it?
Consent agenda?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, appointments, we have Highlands Tourism and Development Commission, Laura Huerta from Lakeside Restaurant, is unable to fulfill her term, and they have recommended Mr. Travis Brooks, who's the manager at Lakeside Restaurant, to assume, so I sit on that board and would recommend that.
She resigned. Is that a recommendation? Or a motion?
I would prefer that would be my recommendation, somebody else make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I do, know that we do have reason for, Chester, I'll let you give us the reason for a
Yeah.
closed session. Or we're gonna take action following.
We're gonna need a closed session under General Statute 143-318.11A3 to preserve the attorney-client privilege regarding advice on an existing claim by Lisa Marling against Macon County and Macon County Public Health, as well as other confidential matters.
Motion to go into closed session, Mr. Chairman.
We got a motion to go into
Second.
closed session and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Chester, we're gonna have to take action following.
I do anticipate action being taken.
Sorry, press.
We're also not ready.
Hang out, and wait.
It don't start till 8 o'clock. I know.